Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the ICA ChiroCast. We're back doing our old standby, the Sports and Fitness Science Council, and I am joined today by two of my good friends. I'm joined first by our chair of our committee, Dr. Todd McDougle, and our good friend Landri Peden. Did I say Peden correctly?
Peden.
Peden.
Tomato,
Okay.
tomato. It's fine.
Okay, you don't get upset. That's good.
Yeah.
So I'm Dr. Brant Hulsebus, and we're trying to always bring to you chiropractic and sports and fitness world. And so today we actually have an athlete, a competitor, strong strength competitor, an international competitor. And we want to kind of hear things from the athlete's mouth today. You've heard a lot of us doctors talking about review papers and history, but let's go to our customer. Let's go to our consumer. Let's go to the person who actually uses our service and get a little feedback from them. So Landri, you want to introduce yourself and tell us who you are for those who missed the last podcast you were on?
My name is Landri Peden. As you mentioned, I am an international level athlete. I am a pro level powerlifter. I travel all over the world and compete. I'm actually getting ready to head to Dublin to compete August 1st. So I'm in meet prep currently, but I have competed in multiple different countries around the world. I'm also a strength and nutrition coach as well. So I work primarily with women, and I'm all about lifting people up and spreading strength around the world.
Dr. McDougle, for those that haven't been on our podcast, you want to introduce yourself too?
You know what? I'm just the guy that got a bunch of other guys together to go ahead and try and make some changes in sports chiropractic. And we're calling it the ICA Council in Fitness and Sports Health Science.
Yeah. So I was able to attend one of Dr. McDougle's weekends where we were taught how to adjust strength athletes. And I've been able to apply that to not only strength athletes, but to hockey players. And not only to hockey players, but 80-year-old retired nurses who are at home taking care of their husbands on hospice and want to be left alone from the rest of the world. So the things that we learn in athletes, as we learn, no matter what healthcare applies to everybody. And I wanted to talk real quick to Landri about some of the things that she's done. She's been to competitions. And tell me about the competitions when you go when there are no chiropractors.
Oh, it's rough. Definitely adds a worrisome element to the environment because, especially with powerlifting, the amount of weight that I'm lifting, a lot of my lifts are around 4 times my body weight. And my bench press is over 2.5 times my body weight. So we are moving heavy load. And if my body is not functioning properly and there's no chiropractor, there's nothing I can do. I just have to hope that I can power through whatever ailment comes up. And a lot of times things do come up, unfortunately.
So between your ears, which is all important, can be affected by not knowing that there's nobody there to help you. Now, sometimes you go and there's chiropractors who are there, correct, who don't have any training in dealing with athletes. They just, hey, I like sports. I want to be a sports guy. I'm going to put my tent up and take care of the athletes. What are those experiences like?
I avoid them. I would rather just deal with the pain than deal with somebody that doesn't understand the athlete's body or what our specific needs are for our specific sport, because it matters. A strongman is going to need a different type of adjustment than a power lifter. A CrossFitter is going to need a different type of adjustment versus a power lifter. I'm moving in one plane. So I don't want to be too mobile. I don't want certain things to be adjusted in the heat of the moment compared to another athlete that moves more dynamically. They might need something different than what I do.
Therefore, you'd rather just not even have a chiropractor at all if the chiropractor is there with no training. I think Dr. McDougle, we've both seen this for a chiropractor. We just had the Iron Man in our town. And I'm sure that there was chiropractors that just wanted to go out there and advertise and put a tent up. You've seen that too, correct, Dr. McDougle?
Yes. And it's scary because I see a lot of Instagram kids that, and I say kids because I'm old enough to be everybody's dad now, right? But I'm seeing a lot of the young doctors post on Instagram and other social media platforms their flat table, their Theragun, and their tent. And the end result is scary, I think, for the athlete. And the thing is, there's more to it than that. Or I go ahead and I see a lot of the young doctors that will they don't have enough confidence and understanding in the power of a good adjustment. And so what they end up bringing is the whole kitchen sink, dry needling, which, has potential for infection, scraping tools, suctioning tools, massage tools, all kinds of tools. Well, the greatest tools that you have as a chiropractor is your hands, if you know how to use them properly. And like Landri said, every sport has its nuance. And so trying to make sure that you're doing the right things that are not going to interfere with that athlete's performance, and all the money and all the time and all the sacrifice and all the nutrition, all that is at risk if the chiropractic doctor is not schooled in proper application.
Let me ask you another question then, because it sounds like when you have a bad chiropractor, as a guy who works in locker rooms, you don't want to see the chiropractor. Let me take it back. You don't want to see a bad chiropractor. When you see a chiropractor not trained to take care of athletes, you don't want to see the chiropractor. And I have to imagine that's contagious. I can imagine the rest of the people see you not want to go there. They don't want to go there. Because I've been in locker rooms before where one guy doesn't want to get adjusted because of a bad experience. So I ended up saying nobody.
Yeah.
So I can see that being a bad thing for our profession overall when you're scared to see an athlete. And a lot of times it's monkey see, monkey do. Somebody new there sees you as a veteran and they don't want to do it because you didn't do it. So I can see that really damaging our profession overall.
100%. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So let's flip that now. You go to a sporting event, you're going to compete, and you see somebody who you know is trained to take care of strength athletes. So what happens then?
Oh, I'm going to go see them.
What about your performance? What about your overall mindset? Talk to me about the whole, everything that changes the moment you know that someone knows what they're doing.
There is just a greater level of confidence that I know that if something does go wrong, I can immediately come off the platform and go see them and be able to at least mitigate as much pain or dysfunction as possible on the spot, instead of just praying to the powerlifting gods that I will survive the competition with whatever nerve pain or problem that I have if nobody's there. That's just not a good feeling at all.
Imagine your confidence going out there too is going to be different.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's like you can go for broke and know that if you do break, you got somebody to put you back together.
Dr. McDougle, why don't you talk to us a little bit about that environment? Because you're the guy on the other side.
It's really funny. You bring up a very valid point, because so oftentimes what I will see is people who do not know who I am and what my background is, they just watch. And then when somebody, because invariably there's somebody that I've treated, but pretty much every event. And so that person will get off the table and have that wow effect that Landri's always looking for. And what ends up happening is now I have a line.
Yeah.
All it takes is one. It's kind of like priming a pump. So once they see it and once they see that, and then it becomes contagious because it's exponential. The next athlete gets off the table. And you saw that too when we were at official strongman games. And Landri's experienced it at different areas that we've been together at.
At the Swiss.
But, right?
That was crazy.
Go ahead and share just a little bit about the Swiss.
Oh my gosh. Well, that was so much fun back in 2023. So Doc adjusted me on stage, which was really cool. But then we're sitting out in the lobby area and there was a few people that are kind of like walking around. Oh, what's this? What's it all about? And I'm being like salesperson. I'm like, Todd McDougle's and there just became this line of people, and watching people get adjusted and just burst into tears with the emotion of finally having pain relief. That was the most incredible thing I've ever seen. I will never forget that, because there is something magical, and I will always stand by that. But with what he does for people, there was a reason why when I lived in Ohio, I would drive 6 hours round trip just to have him adjust me.
You said pain relief, but it's even performance enhancing almost, correct?
100%. Yeah, I moved so much better after his adjustment that I can't even explain it. It's, and we were talking about this the other day and today too, is, he's the only chiropractor that I've ever worked with that will adjust me, have me get up off the table, test the adjustment. If it's not right, he's going to readjust me until it's right. And I will end up, my lifts will increase, I would say at least 10% after an adjustment from him.
And before we came on here, you were actually telling me quite a story that's quite disturbing, in my opinion, about a place you had previously visited. And we're not going to get into who or what or why, but a place you previously visited and how you went in there and said, okay, here's what we're going to do for condition X, and we're only going to treat condition X, no matter what you complain about. You signed a deal, a contract, or an agreement, and all you can do is condition X. You went in with condition Y, Z, Q, F, and R, and it was like, we don't care because you were only treating condition X.
Yeah.
And so tell me about when you lay on the table. I'd watched Dr. McDougle do his stuff. Tell me about that experience compared to somewhere else. So you're laying down and face on the table.
Oh, it was just infuriating to think about. So it was a flat table, so none of the drop bed, none of that fancy hydraulic stuff. I would go in, and for the first couple of months, I was put in a neck traction machine, which was very helpful. That was the only thing that actually relieved the nerve pain going down my arm. And then once that therapy was done, they put me on some weird, it looked like a box maybe from like the 1970s with a roller on the edge. And it put my neck and my head at such a bad angle. And I would lay on that for 12 minutes, just getting aggravated. And then the doc would come in. He literally have me flip over to my stomach. He would pop my T-spine, maybe a little bit down my mid-back into my low back, roll me both sides, flip me over, crack my neck, have me put my hands up to make sure that things were even, and then send me on my way. And multiple times I would address, hey, because when I first started going there on my initial exam, I was like, I have a sprained ankle, possible fracture because of the way that I jammed the joint. I have a 170-pound Mastiff that decided to get the zoomies at 4 a.m. and ran through me like a freight train. And I went up over top of him, and the ankle joint did one of these numbers on the left side. And range of motion was shot, pain for months. It still swells up to this day. And this happened beginning of September of last year. So I came with that. And then because of the ankle issue with squatting, obviously, my hips are going to be off because my ankle mobility is trash on the one side. So I started developing a shift, which then created nerve pain down my left leg that I'm still suffering from. And I would go to address these issues, and they were like, if we're going to address that issue, then we're not going to address your neck today. Or they would tell me it's not part of your treatment plan. So they would just brush over it altogether. And I'm like, I am in pain. And I had a rib that I popped out a couple of months ago, and I would complain about that. And he adjusted it maybe twice, and it still gives me problems. Like, and then I get told those lower extremity issues and the rib issue is unforeseen. And it's powerlifting. I don't know how a practitioner at your level would not see these things as a definite possibility in the process of our treatment. And like for me, I never would have voluntarily signed a contract or an agreement or treatment plan that only specifically addressed my neck and my arm, especially after working with someone like Dr. McDougle. And then with what I do in the fitness arena, that would be like me saying, hey, client, pay me X amount of thousands of dollars for me to give you a plan that only covers one part of what you actually need. And if you need something else, sorry, it's not part of your plan. Like,
yeah, it sounds ethically. If I'm not been trained in taking care of athletes, I shouldn't accept you as a new patient. I should refer you to somebody who does. Dr. McDougle, do you want to tell us a little bit about your assessment on the game day? So Landri comes up to you and your table. What's your process? Same thing every time, right?
Oh, because Landri's the, and you know that answer. Everybody's different. And honestly, even after the first adjustment, that patient is not the same patient that they were the very first time you put your hands on them. And every time after that, they're a different patient again and again. And Landry will tell you, when I get in there and I work on her, there are standardized assessment protocols that we go ahead and we put into play. But that doesn't mean that every adjustment is going to be exactly the same. Landry's not the same.
No.
However, there are episodes in which, yes, it appears as though maybe I'm doing the same thing as I did on the person that got on the table before, but that's not the way it is. It's the way it appears.
Mm-hmm.
And to an untrained eye, and sadly, many of our chiropractic colleagues are also untrained eyes. And so there's a lot of assumptions being made. When you go ahead and you get in there and you do a thoracic adjustment, for example, you don't ever see me do anteriors on anybody. Why? Because it's not really necessary. And I don't want to create a high level of looseness or hyperstimulation, maybe the parasympathetics, for example, in somebody who's wired and has to be wired to go ahead and accomplish a major lift. The assessment protocols are pretty much standard, but it all changes as soon as that patient walks in the door or walks towards my table and says, this is what I've got in addition. And that may change what I thought I was going to do immediately. Now, all of a sudden it's, oh, okay, we're not going to do face up right now. We're going to do face down. Or maybe we'll go ahead and we'll start with a wrist, or maybe we'll start with a shoulder, or maybe it'll be, hey, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set the elbows. I'm going to go ahead and set the shoulder. I'm going to go ahead and adjust T1, supine. I'm going to make sure that the serratus isn't hot. And then then I'll go ahead and I'll flip them over and I'll do some other things to them. Right? And a lot of people would be like, oh, if you're face up, then I'm just going to go ahead and do the occiput too. You'd be amazed how many people start off. It seems like you probably should do an occiput adjustment, but in reality, you need to do a upper thoracic adjustment, which clears out the occiput many times. And then your focus is actually C1. What? That's in the book, right? But that's where clinical skill sets, clinical reasoning, critical thinking all plays a part in being a skilled chiropractic sports provider. And you can relate to that, Landry.
Oh, yeah. 100%. I'm just thinking about the things that you're saying. And you are the only person that, aside from having me test, you've adjusted my jaw. Like, I have really bad headaches all of the time. I do wear a mouth guard when I lift, thank God. But since the beginning working with Doc, like when I was a kid, I played every sport you could think of, but I played basketball primarily, and I had my jaw dislocated during a game and it never got set right. And ever since then, it's always been offset. And when he adjusts my jaw, just the fact that he pays attention to those little things, even that helps my lifts, because I would get tension headaches from the loads that I'm lifting because of all that pressure and the way that I'm biting down. There's just so many things that I feel like I'm missing from not being with him anymore. And it makes me mad. And that's why I'm like coordinating. I'm like, I'm getting ready to go to Dublin. When are you in the office? I'm going to fly there. We're going to do an overhaul, and then I'm going to get out of the country.
And that's the thing. Landry started off with me getting primarily a lot of PT care and rehab care and massage techniques and all that other kind of stuff. And so when she first came to me, we actually met in, I think, Fort Wayne, wasn't it?
Yeah.
At an event. And so I, gave her the...
Or the alpacas.
Right. So I gave her... So I gave her first treatment there. And then after that, she's, okay, I want to come all the way from Ohio to come see you. So then we went ahead and we started doing work. And it was interesting because we just talked about this a little while ago, that she had somebody that came with her. And the comment was, when I said, hey, listen, I want to go ahead and I want to insert a lift in her shoe because I think this here would be beneficial for her. And it was actually a full length lift, not a heel lift like most of our Gonstead practitioners would do. And the argument was, I don't think we really need to do that. I think we need to do this movement pattern and this exercise and this and this. And my response to that immediately was, wasn't that what you already were doing and that which did not already work? Mm-hmm. So my thought is, let's try and do something different that doesn't change the protocols of your physical therapist or your massage person or any of the other people on your care team. All we're doing is adding into the mix, which is then it actually creates that thing that we keep talking about, Brant, and that is the sports team, right? The sports recovery team members. And so we're all working together. We're all doing our part to make sure Team Landri wins, right?
Yeah.
But since that point in time, obviously she's moved to Georgia, she's moved to Virginia Beach, she's gone here and there, and everywhere she goes, what do you meet with? You go to what, 3 or 4 chiropractors at every state that you've moved to so far.
Pretty much, yeah.
And how's the standard of care between all of those chiropractors that failed? What, is it not all the same? That failed you?
It's pretty much all the same. In Atlanta, at the end, they weren't too bad. They did a lot more than most, but the cost was just insane. So that was not something that was sustainable, especially with like how much I already put into the sport. Aside from that, it's all been the same. It's just like the churn and burn. They're not really looking at the big picture. And I'm very aware of my body. I working with Doc for so long, I know what the standard is. And I'm a very good communicator. I'm like, hey, this is going on. Can you address this? And it's like they look at me cross-eyed. What? And I'm like, but this is your job and you're acting surprised that I'm coming to you with this issue.
I think the biggest thing that you run into is it's going to be the same adjustment every time you come in. Same adjustment every time you come in. When you work with an athlete, and honestly, when you work with anybody, you got to reevaluate them every time they come. You can use your notes from last time as a starting point, but you don't do the same workout every day. You don't do the same exercise. You don't train the same way every day.
No.
So we have this different stresses, different factors. Not only that, but let's take it outside from training. Mentally, you don't have the same day every day. We talked about chemical, physical, and emotional stress. Those things are going to hit you different every single time. So for all the young chiropractors, this is part of what you learn at the sports conference is the thing that you have to reassess the athletes every single day. After a huge win versus a huge loss, I imagine your adjustments would be totally different just because of the mental aspect of it. So,
yep.
And listen, I think it should be said, we're not, as chiropractors, we need to be critical of our own profession for one reason, to make it better. And Landri is here because Landri needs our help. She needs the help of competent chiropractic doctors internationally. Mm-hmm. Not just, there are people that she's going to be exposed to across the pond.
Yep.
And hopefully they have talent. And all we want to do, and this is the whole premise for the Sports Council, we just want doctors to be prepared for athletes like Landri. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of people like Landri, and you've been with me. We've worked on patients that we don't even know their language, Brant, that come in. We have 400 athletes from 52 different countries that come into official strongman games. You have to figure out ways of communicating with those people. But the biggest thing that you want to do is give them the best adjustment you can based upon skill sets that you've developed before you showed up to offer them.
And their environment and their needs and their demands.
Yeah. And like an athlete like myself, like I just ran into this issue. So at the current ops that I'm going to, they're doing a good job. They are seeing me 3 times a week. So it's very consistent, but the main doctor gets a little busy. So he has an assistant and she is not strong enough or comfortable enough to adjust my neck because I'm so muscular. She cannot adjust my neck without a tool or getting the other doctor to come in and adjust it. And I'm like, well, what if he wasn't there? What would we do?
She just doesn't know how. And that's the thing. That's what we want to teach in our seminars, Brant. We want to teach the how part. And you know that side posture that those guys keep whacking you with all the time?
Yeah.
That is one of the worst things for your condition.
Oh, yeah. My SI joint hates
and every single one of them should understand that. But what have you, upon the request not to What has every single chiropractor done?
They still do it.
It's because they don't understand that there are other ways to accomplish the task at hand, and a task that will reduce your risk of injury for yourself, but also, even more importantly, enhance your performance.
Right.
And seriously, this is what the core message of everything that we're doing, with everything that Brant's putting out there, everything we're doing with the Sports Council, is to change that, make it better for you, Landri, as one of our many millions of patients, but also at the same time, it strengthens chiropractic to learn from those of us that have the skill sets to share with each of the new doctors coming up.
Yeah, I wish more people would jump on board, to be honest. And it's not just because I love you guys, but like truly, like after having the level of care that I've had with you, and then literally worked with people all over the country, like it's very frustrating that I feel like I have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to fly across the country to go see you, Dr. McDougle, because I don't have somebody that I trust to do the things that I need to perform at my best. Like my last competition, the spotters allowed the bar to roll onto the back of my neck with 470 pounds. And it immediately triggered my nerve pain. And I passed out right after I came off the platform out from underneath the bar. And there was no doc. There was nobody there to help to try to reduce that nerve issue, to try to adjust anything to try to help me get through the comp. And I literally just had to just pray that I wasn't going to completely fall apart. And I almost got injured during the competition after that with my bench press, 275 pounds over my face. I have spotters, so I'm fine. But my hand opened up without me being able to control it because of the nerve dysfunction. And then my arm just shut off. And I was literally like maybe a quarter of an inch from actually locking out my arm, and it just completely dysfunctioned. And it's like, I would have given anything that moment to be able to come off the platform and have Doc adjust me, because I would know that I would be able to go back for my next attempt and I'd probably get it, because we'd be able to at least mitigate as much as we could on that nerve impingement. But unfortunately, I didn't have anybody, so I just had to.
Do you know what I can hear other doctors say? Obviously, we have a relationship. You trust me. You are trying so much to find somebody that will duplicate or replicate the technique. It's not that you are dependent upon me as a person, as a doctor, as your friend. You are giving other doctors the opportunity to excel, and they're not rising to the occasion.
Yeah.
Brant, you know what I'm saying when I say that? Because
I live that.
there are going to be people that are going to listen, and they're going to say, "Oh, Dr. McDougle has her brainwashed."
No, I live on the North Illinois, right in the Wisconsin state line. And it's not odd for me to come to the clinic and see somebody with Kentucky plates that lives in this area. That's their son's a hockey player, got hurt. They go to see a chiropractor for monthly care, but when the kid gets hurt, they come up to see me. Another one comes from Alabama. She has a headache that's too bad. She comes up to me. And that's not a compliment to me. That's a sad omen on the chiropractor's clinic. They drove by to come see me.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how I look at it, because truly we're just doing the job. Fair? We're just doing the job. And Landri, that's all you want.
Yeah.
You just want people to do the job.
Yeah. I'm sick of living in pain. I'm so tired of it. I do all the rehab things. I do all the body work. I take my lifts, I make them as technical as possible. And you're not going to see me hitting PRs and it look like absolute crap. I want as precise of movement as possible, so I can keep my body in this sport as long as possible. And so when I have dysfunctions that I physically cannot alter myself or fix myself, it becomes very frustrating. And with the adjustments that I had in the past, it's like, I literally
dialed in.
Yeah. Doc, every time I saw him, I literally felt like a new person the next day. The pain would subside. even at my worst, like I think the worst time was really after I got rhabdo, but that was more of musculature than it was any joint. But my whole body was really affected. That was some pretty bad pain, but we worked through that. But now it's like, this is the most amount of pain I've been in my career, and I shouldn't be. And it's just like, I know what could be done and what needs to be done. It just doesn't get done. And then I just get more mad because I'm just watching my money go down the drain. And then my performance starts to do this guy, because sometimes I feel good. And then sometimes I feel like I got hit by a truck. Like there was a point in prep where I was squatting 501, and you could see on the descent, so not even the reversal, on the descent, my legs stopped working and my knees caved in and I just collapsed into the hole. And that's never happened before, but I've had this nerve pain radiating down from glute med, down the IT band, all the way into the front of my shin. So I was at L5, something's going on, and it's not getting addressed. And this has been going on for 3-4 months.
Yeah. Well, and another thing too that I think it's important to add into the mix is you had mentioned that you're spending a lot of money. And so you were able to share with me some of the expenditures, and you're looking at about $4,000 for what? Is it 6 months or 12 months?
That one was a 9-month plan.
9 month. I've got non-skilled chiropractors in our area right now that are doing treatment plans for $8,000 right now. Now, I said non-skilled. That was completely offensive. But the reality is, okay, what makes you worth that amount of money?
Yeah.
If you can do what I can do, like what we do multiple times consistently, athlete after athlete, like we do at OSG,
Yeah.
fine. Okay. But I'm not charging $8,000 for a treatment plan. Maybe I should be.
Yeah.
But I don't have, like we talked about, I don't have the social media
Right.
campaign to go ahead and support that.
You don't have the flair.
I don't. I'm just not a flair guy. Brant will tell you, he's hung out with me a lot too.
Yeah, it is. It is very frustrating because it's
I think that's great for chiropractors listening, because they get to hear from the chiropractor, they get to hear from the patient, they get to hear the frustration the patient deals with, they get to hear from the chiropractor that we deal with. And so that you get to see the need. You get to see the need of this training, this confidence, this and working with athletes is different. Working with newborns is different than working with geriatric patients, and we can't have one size fit all. Our profession's got to do better. And that's what the ICA Sports and Fitness Science Councils came together to do. And we're 98% ready to announce our big symposium coming up in 2027. I will tell you that if this stuff interests you and you're excited for this, keep the last week of July open in 2027, because we're going to have a great opportunity to come learn. Maybe invite people like Landri to come back and speak to our people, and to get I think I could convince Landri to come if I just tell her that Dr. McDougle will be there and be able to give her an adjustment, no charge.
Absolutely. Hey, my birthday is the end of July, so we can celebrate.
There we go. So it's gonna be a fun event. It's gonna make you a better sports chiropractor. It's gonna let Landri not have to drive and fly so far to get seen. So she'll lose some miles, but she'll gain some peace by being at home.
Right.
So, guys,
my dog will appreciate you.
There you go. So as we wrap this up, does anybody have any final last words they want to throw out there?
For me, I just really hope that this message does get across, and it's not bashing the chiropractic industry by any means, but it's just, if more people would take advantage of your training to be able to give the amount of care and the attention that's needed, athletes like me will literally just be like pounding your door down, like, hey, please help me, because that's all that someone like me is looking for. Living in pain, not being able to sleep, it affects everything, recovery, mental health, all the things. So it's just, please do better. There's so many of us out there that's really all we want. I don't want any more churn and burn chiropractic. I need specifics for what I do for my profession, and this is a really good opportunity to learn some really good skills.
Idea for a title for our course: Unlock Your Potential.
Hey, I like that.
Yeah. I know for me, it breaks my heart to hear Landri suffer. I've had the opportunity of working with athletes worldwide. It breaks my heart for them to go home and I get information back later that they're suffering and they can't get help and they know there's a solution. I want to share what I've learned through volunteering and my efforts over the last nearly 30 years of caring for the top athletes in the world. And it's not just Google or Instagram level. It's deeper than that. What we're trying to offer are skill sets that will give a person 15 to 20-year jump and make chiropractic better and gives Landri some peace. So obviously it's affecting her.
I'm like over here
And like I
crying right
said,
now.
yeah. I mean, it shouldn't be that way. These are real people, not just athletes that you can prop up to say, look whose butt I'm touching. You know, it's look how I was part of a team that created the environment for this athlete to excel. That's what it should be.
100%.
Camera showed Christopher Steig, who played for the Blackhawks and the Flyers, that he said, I used to not like getting adjusted by you before the games. I felt sloppy and was on low. I knew the adjustments were important. I didn't feel good. And then the camera goes, oh, you learned a new technique from the strength guy. It's so much better now before the games. And Versteeg looked at me and goes, I don't like you. I could have played 5 more years longer if you'd have learned this a little years ago.
Oh,
So I did offer to do it to him and throw him back on the ice after he's been retired for 5 years, but he opted not to do it. But again, I'm going to stress learning this stuff. It's not what we learn in the sports arena and healthcare. It translates to everyday practice, no matter what we're talking about. Some of the biggest things we've learned in healthcare, whether it's medicine, chiropractic, physical therapy, happen with athletes first. Then we applied it to everyday practice. And that's exactly what I did after spending my weekend with Dr. McDougle in Madison, learning this technique, studying it with him, and then applying it with athletes under his supervision. I came right back, and the very first person I used it on was an 83-year-old retired nurse. Not the same guy I adjusted there that was 7 foot tall, 414 pounds. Basically, she's not even as big as one of his legs. But the technique worked. It got her peace. It got her happiness and made her day. So it applies to everybody. Come meet us. Come learn from us. We want to share this information with you so bad. Athletes want us to do this. We want to do this. There's no reason not to do this. So I'd invite you to subscribe, follow us, and come learn this. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. Landri, thanks for coming on again. If you guys missed it, you guys like this, we've done this before with her. Go back and look at our old podcast. You'll find it. So please get subscribed. Thanks, everybody.
thank you.
Thanks, Brant. Thank you, Landri.